everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So, horror movies. I have a big problems with them. Usually, I just get so tired of these cliched, mundane, badly written, horribly directed schlockfest with jump scares and demons and, you know, spirits who goes blah, 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 or something like that. I get so tired of them and I hate them so much. I already hate, you know, slashers. I already hate horror movies in general, and especially horror movies with supernatural elements to it. And I saw this movie with the lowest of low expectations. I just bet this one was going to suck, and suck a lot. Somebody had actually written at one point that this was one of the worst horror films they had ever seen. And after like 15 minutes or something like that, I felt, I agree with you, buddy, this is fucking awful. But then, scene by scene, character by character, minute by minute, inch by inch, they won me over. And in the end, I loved this movie. I absolutely loved it. When you're talking about pleasant surprises, this is the most pleasant surprise I have seen since 5 years, I think. And when it comes to horror movies, at least 15 years you have to go back and, you know, to find a movie I was more pleasantly surprised by. So let's find out why I show it. This is Malignant. Madison's husband, he's not the type of a man who brings her flowers, brings her chocolate, licks her pussy, or, you know, buys her nice romantic weekends in Paris or stuff like that. He is an abusive tool and an asshole and a douchebag. I wanted him super dead right from the start. I hated him, hated him. For some reason, I get really upset with, you know, men who beats women who can't defend themselves and stuff like that. I hate them. And after 5-10 minutes, you know, there is some kind of a break-in to the house, and he hears some spookery-pookery, and I said, oh God, here comes something new. Is he going to attack him and kill him? And what? He's dead? Yeah, so Madison's husband has died in a weird way, and there's no sign of break-in, and while the detectives are trying to figure out who the hell has killed this guy and how did it happen, Madison has dreams about when it happened. But she also has dreams about other things. She sees all these grisly murders that is taking place. It just seems to be random people. This might be linked to some experiments that may or may not have taken place in the 90s that she also has weird visions about. In the beginning, Madison just shuts her off from the rest of the world. Not only has she lost her husband, she has also had a third miscarriage, so she's kind of miserable. But her sister sort of reunites with her, and they're trying to figure out what all of this means. At the same time, some kind of a demonic creature seems to be walking around town and killing at will. What is he? Who is he? And what is his link to Madison? And why is she dreaming about this? And why does these dreams become reality? We shall see. Now, when this movie had been going on for about 1 hour, I said to myself, I actually think this movie is kind of good. It doesn't have the usual, you know, jump scare fest, and it doesn't have the supernatural nonsense that I absolutely hate. This was more about a murder mystery, and it was more Stephen King rather than, you know, The Conjuring or stuff like that. So I was very pleased with this. And then, when it was about, 30 minutes left of the movie, they deliver one of the best and most awesome twists I have seen in a horror movie ever, periodly. I did not see it coming. It made a lot of stuff in the beginning make a lot more sense than it had previous, and I of course felt like a totally dumbhead because I didn't see this one coming. I am a bit of a dumb fuck when it comes to spotting twists, and this was no exception. People could probably see this one coming a mile away, but I was like, huh? And 10 minutes after that, James Van somehow found the cinematic overload button that very few filmmakers are able to find, and he pushed it in a horror movie, which almost turned it into an action movie. It was fucking awesome. And then They did not deliver the usual worthless, modern, supernatural horror movie ending that I absolutely hate and always, deducts 10 points of every movie that I see that use it, because I fucking hate it so fucking much and it makes me so angry every single time it happens. But they did not do it here. They were almost on the verge of doing it, but they did not do it. And oh, it was just such a relief, because I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it to happen. I said, you're almost there. You just don't have to do what you always do, and they did not do it. So I was very happy about this. Now, one of the key elements to why this is working is not only because the story is so unique, and not only because the atmosphere of the movie is so great, it is the fact that I was enjoying the characters. Madison was a great character, and I was really, really rooting for her. I usually don't care about, all these yahoos that are, populating this sort of supernatural horror movies, because they're just the same. They're just a bunch of boring, bland, uninteresting assholes that I just expect to die, and it's just going to be what always happens, and it's just so boring. But Madison was great, but even greater was her sister that they reunite with. And I felt that her arc could have been explored even more. I would have liked to see a couple of small little things happen in the end that would have tied everything up even better. And I would have then said that this movie was an absolutely fantastic movie. There are things and here, there, that prevents this movie from, climbing even higher up on the totem pole of greatest horror movies of all time. But I think that this is by far the best horror movie that has been done for the last, 15 years or something like that. It is an absolute modern classic, but people will probably forget it in 6 months or so. But for me, this will always be one of the most pleasant surprises I've ever seen when it comes to movie watching, and especially horror movies. This horror movie is such a good horror movie that it almost leaves the horror genre and enters into psychological thriller territory. That's how good it is. So, apart from having a great story, apart from having a fantastic soundtrack, having a couple of really good actors putting on some really good performances, and also a fantastic finale, this movie was damn fun and entertaining, and I didn't know where it was going. And just when you thought that you had figured it out, because I had figured it out, I thought I was of course completely wrong, but for a second I knew exactly where this movie was going. Turns out I was of course absolutely wrong, as I always am. Now, should you see this movie or not? Depends on. If you are looking for a traditional Blumhouse schlockfest, which I hate, you probably will like parts of this movie, but you will also find it a little bit, what the fuck is this? And what the fuck is that? You will say. But if you, like me, have grown really tired of spirits and demons and witches and stuff that, go blah, 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 in the night, you will see this as a breath of fresh air, because it kind of explains everything in a way that, it could only happen in a movie, but if you meet the filmmakers halfway with its outlandishly, ludicrously kooky-wooky stuff that they're doing, you're going to be very entertained, you're going to be very appreciative of this movie. I like the characters, I like the story, and as I said, the soundtrack was really good. Would I have liked this movie as much as I did if I had okay expectations on it? If I would have, went into this movie thinking that it was going to be like a 45, 50 ratings or something like that, I expected this movie to be a 20, 22 ratings or something like that. But now it's going to get very much higher. But if I would have gone into this one thinking that it was going to be 45, 50, would I have given it such a high rating as I'm going to give it? I don't know, but I was so pleasantly surprised, and I was happy for 2 days after seeing this, because it is very rarely that I see a horror movie that I actually like for real. Malignant, or however it is supposed to be pronounced, gets 84 points. I wouldn't have said no to a couple of, A-listers from Hollywood also, being participants in this movie. That would have been fun. This is a very tense, very suspenseful, and very unique supernatural horror movie that, as I said, almost goes into thriller territory. Stephen King has apparently said that he loved this movie, and I absolutely understand why, because the story felt like a lost Stephen King novella From me, that's high praise because I fucking love Stephen King. So I'll see you next time for Well So and So Reviewing Well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.